right, and it's just like, nah, sorry, not in this game, it just doesn't work. And I think one of the big things to be successful is not necessarily just to say what to do, but also to be able to say, you know what, we're not doing that. Just forget about it. And not try to shoehorn it somehow in like, nah, it was a try, it was worth a try, we had fun along the way, but nah, it's not going to happen. And to have that ability is, and to have that strength to actually say like, nah, let's just can it. I think it's important to get the good result in the end.
I think that's good. Historically, it's, the companies that have endured have been the companies that have had people with an ability to say that needs to go. We can't just exhaust ourselves and exhaust our finances chasing a feature to the end point. We need to be mature about this and say, if we commit to that, we're going to incur too much cost, too much burden on the system, and so on. So, when I was researching this panel, thinking about RuneScape, one of the key features for me was that the history of RuneScape really sits at the centre of the history of the boom of the MMO RPG, and there's been a huge amount of activity in other franchises around your franchise, and in many ways the player, the culture of MMO game playing, which I remember from Ultima Online and Phantasy Star Online and so on, has gone mainstream. It's absolutely kind of part of the public domain to think in terms of LOL and blah blah blah, and the kind of the language that is associated with MMO. Have you seen within your world, within this RuneScape world, an influx of that culture going mainstream? Have you seen your demographic of players change?
Yes, there's the odd female player that we have. We are still pretty nerdy as a company, though, I proudly admit. We think that RuneScape is a pretty hardcore game, though. It's not one that rides on the wave of MMOs. It's more, as you say, at the core of it, because to be a hardcore RuneScape player is really a lot of work and dedication. So we think that not to an extent that you might have thought. No, we think we pretty much attract the same people as we did 8 years ago. Of course, they're 8 years younger now, perhaps even 10. So yeah, we could perhaps say people are getting younger. Perhaps we could say people are more demanding. But we think we don't really have a big shift in who plays our game. What we are very happy about is that many players stick to our game for now 8 years basically, so that they stay with the game. Again, an indication that we more go to the hardcore player than anybody else. And we always see when players say, oh yeah, you're in the games industry, and then people who possibly wouldn't have been interested in the games industry 5 years ago, they now have a look at our game and think like, nah, this is not at all what I was expecting. So it's not for the casual player, I would say. We do perhaps attract people more to our website and more people to actually have a look, but I don't think they stick around for much. It's too much of an old school game. Basically.
So you're in the marketplace, you've got that traffic, but ultimately the game is speaking to an evolved audience, an audience that have followed you and in many ways committed to you, and you're still, that first audience that you always had is perhaps still with you, albeit constituted by new members. But
yeah. I think that the type of player that now plays RuneScape is the very same type of player that played RuneScape 8 years ago, very much so.
One last question, and then we're going to open up to the floor for questions. So if any of you have got questions, you should be, distilling them about now. Jagex is known for its kind of for its work environment, for the bespoke engine that you're working with, and so on, and the kind of pretty unique arrangement that you have up there in Cambridge. I just wanted to ask, what's next, really?
Well, first of all, to that unique work environment, I want to add one thing, and that I think is one of the very good things that we do at Giants, is how we produce. Many other studios say we've got the person with the ideas and we've got the person with the coding practice and experience, and they have to work together. You know, if they can't smell each other, it's a problem. But they just have to get on with it. So one delivers the idea, does not care about the implementation because that's the other person's job. Although I agree that it might be the quickest way of doing things, I'm very strong advocate of saying it's not the best way of doing things, because project ownership is one of the big things that we have. So yes, you get an idea, you say like, there's a hole in the game, fix it. You know, or put something in there. You know, perhaps you go into that direction or that direction. You don't really care. You know, make it fun. Come back with something and make it fun. Of course, that's a bit blueprint. You could just go off for 3 months and then come back. It's a constant forth and back between 2, 3, 4, 5 people. But that one person, you know, he will put his name under it. It's his project, and he doesn't do the graphics himself, but he tells the graphics artist, these are the adjectives that I want that person, that asset to look like and to respond to. And that works really well because you've got that sense of ownership. Otherwise, just like, well, yeah, I've done something, you know, I'm not sure what came out of it. It's like, no, it really is.
So the concept is kind of like the precious cargo. You've got to make, fend off the kind of brutish, advances and just make sure that survives to end point, so that if that happens enough times, you've got a really rich world.
So we always say, like, the next idea it's always just around the corner. I mean, we are in the luxury that we never say, like, on a Monday morning come in and say, like, so what are we doing this week? You know, any ideas, anyone? It's always like, okay, of the 20 ideas that we have, which one are we going to do next? And that's a huge luxury to have. So yes, we are working on a new skill for RuneScape, so that's always something to make the game even broader. It's gonna be good, but that's all I can say, sadly. So then we work as a studio. We work on another MMO. We have, of course, FunOrb, which is our games lab, if you so want to. So lots of small ideas that could perhaps grow bigger, but sort of start small. And we want to keep it that way. RuneScape started small, and just because it hit the nerve, it became big. So we just look and say, like, okay, we don't know what the next big success is. We just try and then offer the audience a lot of different things to do, and whatever they really like, that we will keep on developing.
Brilliant. Okay. Before I ask questions, I'd just like to say thank you to Christoph. Okay, so, any questions?
I'm interested in your business outside of core development, so things like server admin, game masters, community management. Do you deal with that all in-house?
All in-house, yes.
And how do you accomplish that? How do you make sure it gels with what you're doing in development? Communication.
It's a big job, basically. We make sure we only get dedicated people in. So, for instance, in support, you will find people that have played more games than the whole room here together. Perhaps it's a bit of an exaggeration, but it really is time to get the people in who care about the game. When it comes to it, how do you keep it all together? I think trust is a big thing. We trust people not to make mistakes, and if they do, then they have to stand up and then they have to admit to it and learn from it, basically. So again, as I said before, allowing people to make their own mistakes and let them grow through that. We do have, of course, a lot of problems where, like, sysadmin is not ready, and then they give us something, and then content waits for it because something else needs to be done first. So some things take longer, perhaps, because we do it all in-house, definitely. But as I said before, at least we always get the solution exactly how we want it to. Especially like support, it's so important that the face that the players see, which is the player support, department that this is following what you think it should be doing. So, just as an example, there are people who abuse bugs, obvious bugs in the game, and whenever we come to it, we say we need to punish these people. Now, if you had a publisher in the back, you